Drop, stitch, magic loop, slip, slip, purl, slip, slip, knit, twisted cord, wrap and turn, pick up and knit. Joe plays scarf.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Joey's Scarf. My name is Linda. You can find me all over as LyndaGrace. That's Linda with a Y. This is a knitting and crocheting and yarn podcast, and this is episode 41. Today is January 26th. It's a Sunday, and I'm coming to you from Barnegat, New Jersey, which is along the Jersey Shore. And the name of my podcast, Joey's Scarf, is named after my son Joe, who passed away from colon cancer 8 years ago. It's a way to kind of keep his memory alive, not that I need a podcast to do that, believe me. I've been busy knitting, and now that the holidays are over, I'm getting back into it. And I have a few things to show you that I'd like to share with you. So let's go. First thing is what I'm wearing. This is my modified version of the Throwback sweater by Andrea Mowry. And I say modified because the whole yoke was supposed to be color work or stranded color work. And I started this sweater about 3 times, 2 times with different colors. And the middle portion of the color work really was a challenge for me, and I just couldn't get it to come out correctly. So this is the stranded color work here, but this part here is just rows of different colors, so one at a time color. And I found that to be easier, and after so many starts and I was so frustrated, I just thought to do it this way to make myself more likely to finish the sweater instead of getting so frustrated. But I will go back to the color work at some point and try maybe something a little easier than a sweater. The sweater was part of a knit-along that we were running in our Ravelry group dedicated to this podcast, the Joey's Scarf podcast Ravelry group. And we were doing a cardigan knit-along, and from JansCraftyCrochet, that's her screen name, and I were hosting this knit-along. And it was just to knit or crochet a cardigan, and that was basically it. It's going to be over in a couple of days. I extended it to the 31st of January, so if you're working on yours, you still have a few days to finish up. I'm going to put some pictures of me wearing the sweater so that you can get a better idea of how it turned out. And I'm mostly pleased with it. I am not totally pleased with it. So when I was knitting the sweater, I got to a point where I had to start a new skein of the green. And I knew that I should not have started it in the middle of the sweater at any point. I don't know why I didn't listen to myself. And I don't know if I think I was trying to save yarn because I wasn't sure I was going to have enough. So in the middle of the back of the sweater, well, actually I think it's over here, I changed skeins. So I knit the first skein until I had almost like this much left, and then I started a new skein. It did not turn out very well. I think I did it in 2 spots. I thought that I would be able to blend in where I started the new skein, but obviously I am not that skilled because, as you're going to see in this little video, a close-up of what it turned out to be, and I'm so embarrassed to even show you. The first thing I'm showing you, where it's really, if I turn it inside, when I turn it inside out, you'll see how messed up it is. I started to undo, the sweater was all finished, even blocked, and I looked at the way the join was, and I just was not happy, and I thought I could fix it. And I started to undo the spot where I had woven in the ends, and it started to unravel, and it started to create a big hole there. Now, mind you, this is after I had finished it, blocked it, and everything else. I should have just left it alone, but I didn't. And I was determined to close that hole up, and I just botched it up. But luckily, it's underneath here, like under here, so you know, when my arms are down, you really can't see it. But I have to say, I think that's it for my sweater making days. I know I've said this before, but I like the way this sweater came out. I know where the botched up areas are, and it bothers me. So that's the story of my sweater. I love the colors. I like and I had to do a different color button band, because, well, this has no buttons, but the front bands, because I did run out of the green yarn, but I kind of like the way the plum looks anyway. And it's a very nice warm sweater, and I will wear it knowing, and now all of you know where the mistakes are. And I don't know, I guess, I don't know if I would call myself a perfectionist, because those two areas are definitely far from perfect, obviously, but it's just so frustrating when I spent all that time working on this sweater, and to have it be something as obvious as that, and I knew that that's what was going to happen, and I just didn't listen to myself, so it's really my own fault. So it'll be a while before I start another sweater for sure. So I'm going to show you my next finished object, which is a lot better. It went a lot better. Okay, my next finished object is a project that I really enjoyed doing a lot, and I love the way it came out. And this is the Arctic Sea Cowl by Throwback, and she's JansCraftyCrochet on all over social media. I don't know if her pattern has been released yet or not. She said that it was soon to be released, but it's just gorgeous. So it was so much fun to knit this, and I love the way it came out, and it was a quick knit. This uses DK yarn, and this is what mine looks like. It's just so pretty. I love it. Let's see if I can slip it on. That's what it looks like. It's just really nice. Yeah. It's really nice. Okay, the yarn I used is just beautiful also. It is from Chelsea Lux, Chelsea Yarns. She is a local yarn dyer from Red Bank, New Jersey. Her shop is in Red Bank, New Jersey, and she really has some beautiful hand-dyed. Her shop is gorgeous, first of all, but she does a good job with dyeing. This is the dark color, and it's her charcoal. That's this, and that's the dark. Okay, so that's the dark color, and it's 100% superwash merino charcoal. And I used up almost all of it to make the cowl. The other color, this color here, which is really nice also, is from Lolo Did It. And this color is called Helping Hippos. I got this a while ago. Don't know if it's available or not, but it's DK also. Very nice. Yeah, the cowl turned out great. I am going to, I probably will make another one of these because I love the pattern. It just held my interest, but it wasn't difficult, the pattern. And I kind of breezed through it. I think I finished this in a couple of days. The one thing that helped me when I was doing the pattern was, fortunately, which made it easier for me, the pattern repeats never changed, so I could put markers every pattern repeat across the way, so I knew when to start the next stitches. And that was very helpful to have the stitch markers all the way around, separating the pattern stitches. That was a big help. But yeah, I love this cowl, and I will make it again. All right, my next finished object is a pair of socks. I don't know the yarn because I've been working on these socks for months, probably way before Christmas. And I think the yarn is Miss Babs, but I'm not totally sure. What I did, this is just a plain vanilla sock, top down, and with a afterthought heel. What I did a little different with these is I made the leg a lot longer. I wanted to use up as much of the yarn as I could, because when I make the legs short, not shorty socks, but maybe halfway up the calf, I wind up with a lot of leftover yarn, enough probably to make a pair of shorty socks, but wanted to use up as much of the yarn as I could. And you can see that I did use almost all of it with the longer leg, but that longer leg took so much more time to knit. And but I'm really happy with them. My intention was these to be Christmas socks, but I didn't finish them in time for Christmas, and I'm not going to wait till next Christmas to wear them. So I will be wearing these. But they really came out nice. The yarn is beautiful, and I'm pretty sure it's Miss Babs. If it isn't, what can I say? So that's my second finished object. And actually, that's my last finished object. So I started to, I'm losing stitches here. Hang on. Ah. Okay, back in business. I liked the way this cowl came out so much. I liked the shape and size of it that I decided to start another cowl. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing with this one, if it's just going to be stockinette. I started out with the ribbing, and I think I'm just going to do stockinette for, I don't know, however many inches I feel is tall enough, and then finish it off with the ribbing. So this yarn is very special yarn. This was gifted to me by JansCraftyCrochet, and she dyed it herself, and she gifted me this yarn, and it's just gorgeous. The colors are so pretty. And I'm holding the yarn together with the strand of this mohair from Chelsea Yarns. And this particular one is called Sugar Plum, this color. That's this. And it's just making this cowl come out so pretty and soft. I can't wait to finish it and wear it. It's just gorgeous. It's just so soft against my skin. And I think I'll be able to finish this quickly too. But Jan, I just love this yarn. You did a really great job, and the colors are beautiful, and I think it's going to look really nice on me. Okay, one of the next projects that I want to work on is I want to do something with all the minis that I got for Christmas. I was in a mini swap, and then I purchased a mini advent from Chelsea Yarns. So I thought I would make a granny square scarf. Now, the scarf that I'm wearing is actually Joey's scarf. This is the scarf I made Joe, and he liked wearing it. But I thought this would be a nice width and length for a granny square scarf. So I'm going to make 3-inch squares, and I'm going to insert a picture, a little video in here of all of the mini skeins that I have. So anyway, I'm going to use the minis and make 3-inch squares, and then I'm going to border them all with some kind of a gray color, because I have all of these. For some reason, I was on a gray kick. I have all of this gray yarn here. So these are 3-inch squares. I'm using a size E or F. Let's see, it is a size F. This is a size F hook to make these. And I'm just gonna, all the centers are gonna be different colors, and then I'm gonna border them with some form of gray, using up some of this gray yarn. Now this scarf is 7 inches wide. I'm going to make, this one is probably going to be about 9 inches wide. And however long I want to make it, probably at least 60 inches long. The problem is going to be, it's not going to use up very much yarn. And I really don't want to make a blanket because I have so many Afghans. So perhaps I'll make a couple of these scarves and give them away. But I thought these would be pretty. And as I said, they don't use up very much yarn at all. This was what I used for my socks, the red socks I showed, and I used hardly anything to use this. So you can use up little bits and pieces to make the granny squares. I'm going to, I thought it would be cool to have some company doing this, encouragement, and keep me on track. So I'm going to open up a thread in the Ravelry group, Joey's Scarf Podcast Ravelry group, and why don't you join me and make, it's a good way to use up your minis, and you can make a scarf or a blanket if you're ambitious. I thought a scarf would be good because it's not as daunting as making a whole Afghan. So I'm going to be showing you progress as I go along with these, and I hope you'll join in. And it'll be a fun project, I think. I know a lot of you don't crochet. These little granny squares are easy to make, and there are so many tutorials on granny squares and crochet on YouTube. Really good ones, I'm sure. I've been crocheting a long time, so for me it's old hat. Maybe it would be a good project for you to learn how to crochet if you don't do it now. So one of the things we did today, Ross and I, because I am always inspired by you, Victoria, the hikes that you take, and Ross and I have not been doing very much exercise at all, and the doctors keep telling us it's the best thing to do is just go for a walk. So today I convinced Ross to come with me. We have a a trail that several towns have participated in, and it's along an old railroad track that used to run through the towns here. And I can't remember how many miles it is, but it's quite a distance. I want to say at least 12 to 15 miles. We did not do anywhere near that, but we did get out a little bit and walk the trail a little bit, and I hope as time goes on we'll get more and more ambitious and be able to go further and further. Last night we watched Joker. It's a Academy Award nominated film for 2020, and it stars Joaquin Phoenix. And I'm not a big superhero comic book person, but I do have a liking for the Batman movies, and I especially like the ones where they tell how Batman got started. Some of the darker films are about Batman, and this film is about the Joker, who is in the Batman. He's a villain in the Batman movies and comics, and it tells the story of how the Joker came to be the villain that he is. And I have to tell you, Joaquin Phoenix did such a good job. He made the character, the comic book character, not the ones that they've had movies about or TV shows about. He made the comic book character come to life. Okay. So while I was in the middle of recording this video, I was talking about the film The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, and I hear this loud crash, and I hear Ross calling me, yelling for me. I ran, dropped the phone, microphone went flying, and he's down on the floor. Never a dull moment. What happened was he was sitting on this footstool, and the footstool moves like this it's adjustable. And why he was sitting on this thing, I don't know. He bent over to tie his shoes, and he lost his balance, tried to get up and brace himself, and he went crashing down. He's okay. He's okay. Very scary, though. So anyway, that's a little behind the scenes of what goes on when you're trying to podcast. Ross and I are working on a project together, and that is I helped him start his own podcast, which I'm having a good time doing because I'm the producer and director, so I get to tell him what to do and when to do it. But his little podcast is called Ross's Snippets and Bits, and it's just him talking about some of his childhood memories growing up in a town called Nyack, and that's in New York. And he's also an avid postcard collector, so he has a lot of vintage from like the 1900s postcards from his hometown. And he describes a little bit about the postcards, and it's just something fun that we can do together. And I enjoy putting the videos together and editing them and adding music and pictures and stuff like that. So it's something that we can work on together, and he's doing a really good job. So if you would like to, why don't you give him a check out? And I know a lot of you have gone over to his podcast from here, and I really appreciate that, and so does Ross. So I just wanted to wrap this up, and I'm hoping to record more often, depending on what I have to share with you. So don't forget, check out the group for the knit-along, for the make-along of the Granny Squares. And I'd like to have some company doing it and see the progress as we go along. So I think that's it for today. I feel like this is a mishmash of a podcast, and I tried to squeeze it in when I could. But I enjoy doing it. I enjoy interacting with you, and I feel like I've met some really great people through this podcast. So goodbye for now. Take care. See you later.